The moment I opened the dorm door, I saw Sophia Taylor tightly embracing her roommate, Dylan Parker. She was wearing the white dress I had just bought her yesterday, and now she was pressed up against another man's chest. Ethan, why did you come back early? Sophia hurriedly pushed Dylan away, her face still flushed from moments before. I stood quietly at the doorway, watching this familiar scene. Exactly the same as in my previous life. 20 years ago today, I also pushed the door open like this and saw the same betrayal. Only at that moment did I understand. I was reborn, and this time, I will not let anyone trample on my life again. The air in the dorm seemed to have frozen. Sophia looked at me with a pale face, while Dylan wore the embarrassed expression of someone caught red-handed. Sophia, let me explain. No need to explain. I cut her off lightly. I've seen all. In my previous life. At that moment, I chose to forgive, to believe her tears and excuses. Then we got married and had children. I worked myself to the bone to support the family while she continued carrying on secretly with Dylan. It wasn't until the family business collapsed and my parents divorced that I realized I'd spent 20 years living like a joke. Sophia, let's break up. The moment those words left my mouth, I felt half the weight lift from my heart. Sophia widened her eyes. What did you say? I said, we're breaking up. I repeated, my tone firmer. Dylan snickered at the side. Ethan, what do you mean by this? Sophia was just. Shut up. I gave him a cold glance. Are you the one who gets to talk? In the previous life, Dylan, relying on his family's money, always looked down on me, a student from an ordinary family. Not only did he steal my girlfriend, he later targeted my family's business everywhere in the marketplace. My parents' divorce was largely because of the push and shove coming from behind him. Ethan, are you crazy? Sophia panicked, tears starting to fall. Dylan and I really did nothing, just a hug. I sneered. Sophia, do you take me for a blind man? Honestly, I didn't want to be so cold to her. In my past life, I truly loved her. You could even say I treated her as my entire life. But after being reborn, I see things much more clearly. Some people aren't worth it. Carry on without me. I won't get in the way. I turned and prepared to leave. Ethan, Sophia rushed over and grabbed my arm. You can't just leave like this. We've been together for 3 years. Do you really not trust me? 3 years. In my previous life, we were indeed together for 3 years, then married for 5, divorced for 10, and by the time I died in that life, she was already Dylan's wife. Sophia, some things, once they happen, can't be treated as if they never did. I gently pulled my hand away from hers. Besides, I have more important things to do right now. I stepped out of the dormitory building, took out my phone, and called home. Mom, it's me. Ethan, why are you calling home at this hour? My mother, Margaret Johnson, sounded a little tired. I remembered that tonight my parents would have a big fight over a business disagreement. That argument became the fuse that detonated their marriage. Mom, Dad, are you home right now? We are. What's the matter? I need to tell you something important. I took a deep breath. I'm coming home right now. After hanging up, I took a taxi straight home. On the way, I carefully reviewed every detail of my previous life. Tonight, my father, George Johnson, will have a disagreement with my mother over a joint project. That project looks tempting on the surface, but it is actually a trap set by Dylan's father, Mr. Parker. Their goal was to ruin our family financially. In my previous life, my father trusted people too much, and my mother was overly cautious. The two fought endlessly over this matter, and their relationship eventually fell apart. At that time, I was still lost in the sweetness of love and had no awareness of the crisis at home. By the time I realized what was happening, it was already too late. This life, I will never let tragedy repeat. The taxi stopped at the entrance of the residential compound in Jing City, and I hurried toward my front door. The moment I pushed the door open, I indeed heard the sound of an argument coming from the living room. George, this project's risk is too high. We really can't take this chance. But it's a rare opportunity. If we miss it, there won't be a next time. I walked into the living room and saw my parents arguing heatedly about something. A contract lay spread on the table, the very trap for my memory. Dad, Mom, what are you arguing about? Ethan, why are you back? My mother looked at me in surprise. I missed home, so I came to visit. I walked to the table, picked up the contract. What's this? A partnership project. My father looked a little embarrassed. Your mother and I were discussing whether to get involved. I skimmed the contract quickly. It was exactly the same as I remembered. On the surface, it was a real estate development project, promising high returns, but in reality, it was a Ponzi scheme. In my previous life, my family invested all our savings, and we lost everything. Even our house was mortgaged away. Dad, we can't do this project. I put down the contract and looked at my father seriously. What? My father was stunned for a moment. Ethan, you understood? Dad, there's something wrong with this project. I pointed at several clauses in the contract. Look here, the schedule for funds returning is unreasonable, and the guarantee clause is written very vaguely. In my past life, I suffered because I didn't understand the law. Later, to turn things around, I specifically studied a lot of business and legal knowledge. Now that experience is coming in handy. Mother frowned. George, our son makes a good point. These clauses really are problematic. But, Father hesitated. Mr. Parker said, this is an internal project. Ordinary people don't even get a chance to participate. Mr. Parker is Dylan's father. In my past life, I always thought he was a successful businessman until our family was ruined and I learned he was actually a fraud hiding behind a facade of legitimacy. Dad, why would Mr. Parker take us along to make money? I asked. Do our families have some special connection? Father was left speechless by the question. Indeed, the Parkers are considered prominent figures locally, while our family runs a small business. The two families really don't have any close ties. There's no such thing as a free lunch, I continued. If they came to us proactively, they must have an agenda. Mother nodded. Ethan is right. This is indeed suspicious. Just then my phone rang. It was Sophia calling. I glanced and immediately hung up. A few seconds later, it rang again. Still Sophia. I hung up again, then immediately blocked her number. Father noticed my action. Ethan, did you have an argument with Sophia? We broke up. I said calmly. What? Mother looked at me in surprise. How did you break up when everything was fine? Found out she's not the right one. I didn't elaborate. Mom, some things are better discovered early. Mother sighed. We don't like to meddle in you young people's affairs, but you really shouldn't settle when it comes to matters of the heart. I nodded, then steered the conversation back to that contract. Dad, don't consider this project. I have a bad feeling it will go wrong. But it's such a good opportunity. Father was still somewhat unwilling. I knew. In my previous life, my father had that kind of personality, always trusting others, easy to be fooled. Dad, do you believe me? I looked at him seriously. Of course I believe you, you're my son. Then do as I say. You absolutely must not get involved in that project. My tone was firm. Also, I suggest you be more careful dealing with the Parker family from now on. My parents exchanged a look, clearly taken aback by my attitude. Although I usually did well in school, I rarely voiced my opinions at home and would never be this forceful. Ethan, what's wrong with you today? My mother asked with concern. Did something happen at school? How am I supposed to explain it? Tell them I was reborn and saw through the Parker family scheme? They would definitely think I was crazy. It's nothing, I've just been studying some business lately and learned a bit about these kinds of contracts. I made up an excuse. Also, I think our family should be a bit more cautious. My father was silent for a moment, then finally nodded. All right, since you put it that way, I won't take part in this project. I breathed a sigh of relief. At least, this crisis was over. But I knew this was only the beginning. The Parker family won't let us off easily. They'll definitely think of other schemes. Dad, Mom, I think our family needs to make preparations in advance. I gather my words. I have an idea I'd like to discuss with you. What idea? I want to have our family business change direction. I said, traditional retail is no longer working. We should seize the opportunity of overseas online services. This is the advantage of being someone who is reborn. I know that in the not-too-distant future, overseas e-commerce platforms will completely change the landscape of retail. There's still time to get positioned now. My mother asked in confusion. Overseas online services? What's that? I explained patiently. It's connecting a computer to overseas networks so you can sell things on overseas e-commerce platforms. Although it's just getting started now, I believe this is the trend of the future. My father frowned, but we don't understand any of this at all. It's okay, I can learn, I said confidently. Dad, trust me, I will definitely make our family business better. After saying that, I suddenly remembered the night before I died in my previous life. My father lay in a hospital bed, holding my hand. Ethan, if I could do it over, I would definitely have listened to you. By then it was already too late to say that. But now, everything can still be made right. My father looked at my determined eyes and finally nodded. All right, I believe you. Just then, the doorbell rang. I went to open the door. Outside stood a middle-aged man in a suit. It was Dylan's father, Mr. Parker. Ethan, is your dad home? Mr. Parker asked with a big smile, still carrying a gift. Yes. I moved aside. Mr. Parker, please come in. On the surface I was polite, but inside I was sneering. In my past life, it was this smiling while hiding a knife guy who caused my family's ruin and death. Mr. Parker walked into the living room, saw the contract on the table, and his eyes flickered for a moment. George, have you made a decision? He asked directly after sitting down. Father looked a little embarrassed. Mr. Parker, this project, Dad has already decided not to participate. I interrupted. He thinks it's too risky. Mr. Parker's smile stiffened for a moment, then returned to normal. Oh? Why do you say that? There are problems with the contract terms. I said lightly, Mr. Parker, what do you think? Mr. Parker's gaze sharpened. He reassessed me. Obviously, he hadn't expected a college student to spot issues in the contract. Ethan has grown up. Huh. Such a keen eye. He gave a few forced laughs. But some things can't be judged by appearance alone. Indeed, you can't judge by appearances. I looked at him. For example, some people seem like friends on the surface, but are actually digging a pit. The atmosphere instantly grew tense. My parents both sensed something was wrong. My mother hurriedly came out to smooth things over. Mr. Parker, would you like some tea? No, thank you. Mr. Parker stood up. Since George is unwilling to participate, forget it. He put away the contract and, as he was leaving, stared at me intently. Ethan, some opportunities, once missed, don't come around again. Mr. Parker is right. I returned his gaze. So, some pits are best not jumped into in the first place. Mr. Parker's face completely darkened. He turned and left without even offering polite farewells. After the door closed, Father couldn't help but ask, Ethan, why did you act that way toward Mr. Parker? Dad, didn't you think he was acting strange today? I retorted, the project was fine. Why did he insist on dragging us into it? Mother nodded. It was indeed a bit odd, and as soon as Ethan mentioned there was a problem with the contract, his expression changed. Father pondered for a moment. Do you think this project really has issues? 100% it has issues, I said firmly. Dad, our family may not be rich, but at least we're safe. There's no need to take risks. As I was speaking, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. When I picked up, Sophia's voice came through. Ethan, why did you block me? Because we have already broken up. I said calmly. Break up? On what grounds? Sophia's voice was choked with tears. I can explain what happened today. Dylan and I really didn't do anything. Sophia, do you remember last year's Thanksgiving? I asked. What do you mean? You said you wanted a necklace. The one that cost $20,000. I continued. I worked for 3 whole months to buy that necklace for you, even skimping on decent meals. Silence on the other end of the line. Do you know what my first thought was when I got the necklace? I said with a bitter smile. I thought, finally I can make you happy. Ethan, but today I saw you wearing the dress I bought you, wearing the necklace I bought you, embracing another man. My voice turned cold. Sophia, do you think I need any more explanation? Sobbing came from the other end of the line. Sophia, we're over. I hung up as soon as I finished speaking. My parents were watching me, their eyes full of pity. Ethan, it'll be all right. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Dad patted my shoulder. I know. I nodded. Dad, Mom, I want to discuss something with you. What is it? I want to take a year off school. I said, I want to help with the family business. What? Mother exclaimed, eyes wide with surprise. Take a leave of absence? Then what about your studies? Mom, it's only for a year. I can continue next year, I explained patiently. Right now is a critical time, and I feel the family needs me. Father frowned. Ethan, are you feeling unwell because of a relationship? No, Dad. I shook my head. I truly feel that our family needs to change. I know this decision is sudden, and my parents will surely find it hard to accept. But I have to do this, because I know that in the coming year, many crucial business opportunities will arise. If I miss them, I'll really miss them. Ethan, calm down first, Mother advised. Dropping out can't be done impulsively. Mom, I'm calm. I looked at her seriously. I've thought it through. This is a decision I've made after careful consideration. Just then, the phone rang again. This time it was Dylan calling. I answered the call, and before I could speak, I heard Dylan's voice. Ethan, what do you mean? What do you mean? Sophia called me crying, saying you broke up with her? Dylan's tone was threatening. I'm telling you, Sophia is my woman. If you know what's good for you, stay away from her. I laughed when I heard that. In his past life, Dylan at least knew how to pretend. Why is he being so blunt this time? Dylan, she really is your woman now. I said calmly, congratulations. But I have to warn you. I cut him off. If she could betray me, she could betray you in the future. After I hung up, I ended the call. In the following days, I began the formal process of taking a leave of absence. Although my parents didn't understand, they ultimately supported my decision. Sophia came to see me a few times, but I turned her down. Dylan also sent people to threaten me, but I ignored them completely. In my past life, I was afraid of them. In this life, what is there for me to fear? After finishing the withdrawal from school paperwork, I began devoting myself fully to the family business. My family runs a small appliance shop that mainly sells household appliances and electronic products. The business isn't exactly terrible, but it's not good either. It barely keeps us fed. Ethan, are you really going to take over the shop? Father asked with some worry. You're not familiar with this stuff. Dad, I can learn, I said, and I have some new ideas. First, what I need to do is understand the current market situation. I spent a week going to every appliance store around, carefully analyzing their business models and pricing strategies. Then I discovered a problem. Everyone was competing on price, but neglecting service. That gave me an opportunity. Dad, I want to add some services to the shop. I discussed with my father, like free delivery, free installation, and free repairs. Free, Father frowned. Wouldn't that make us lose money? It won't, I explained. We can factor those costs into the product prices, but when promoting externally, emphasize the free services. Will that be effective? It will definitely work. I said confidently, Dad, trust me. You'll see results in a month. Beyond upgrading the service, I had another plan. I was going to seize the upcoming wave of overseas online services. At that time, overseas online services were still in their infancy, and most people were unfamiliar with shopping on foreign e-commerce platforms. But I knew this trend was unstoppable. Dad, I want to buy a computer, I said. What do you need a computer for? It's expensive and useless. My father didn't understand. It's useful, you'll see later, I insisted, and I also want to apply for an overseas internet connection. Although my father didn't understand, he still agreed. After all, a computer plus internet fees wouldn't cost much. Once the computer was bought, I began studying overseas web technologies and international online marketing. Although the technology was still primitive back then, I needed to lay the groundwork early. Just as I was swamped with work, the Parker family made a move again. That afternoon, a few thuggish-looking men came into the shop. Is the boss here? Asked the bald man leading them. I'm the one. What do you want? My father stepped forward. Heard your shop's doing well. The bald man looked around. But this neighborhood's not very safe. People often come to cause trouble. I immediately understood. They were here to collect protection money. And it was definitely instigated by the Parker family. What do you want? I stepped forward and asked. Kid, don't be nervous. The bald man smiled sinisterly. We're here to do business. Give us $1,000 a month, and we'll guarantee your shop's safety. 1,000 US dollars is not a small amount for our family. What if we don't pay? I asked. Don't pay. The bald man's expression changed. That would be hard to say. What if one day your glass gets broken, or your goods are stolen? How awful would that be? This is an outright threat. My father's expression changed too. Clearly he was frightened. But I'm not afraid. In my previous life, I saw this kind of scene far too many times. 1,000 US dollars, huh? I sneered. Fine, but I have one condition. What condition? I want to see your boss, I said. This small matter doesn't require you to handle it personally. Let them come and negotiate. The bald man froze for a moment. He clearly hadn't expected me to say that. Kid, what do you mean? My meaning is simple. I looked him straight in the eye. If you're going to do business, you have to play by the rules. Who's your boss? You don't need to know. The bald man's tone turned fierce. You just need to know that if you don't pay, there will be trouble. Is that so? I pulled out my phone. Then I'll call the police right now and see whether your trouble is bigger or ours is. The bald man hadn't expected me to be so tough and hesitated for a moment. Ethan, don't be impulsive. My father grabbed me anxiously. Dad, it's fine. I reassured him. This is a society governed by law now. They wouldn't dare act recklessly. The bald man glared at me viciously. Kid, you've got some nerve. Right back at you. I glared back at him. In the end, they slunk away. But I knew this wasn't over. Since the Parkers had made a move, they wouldn't give up easily. Ethan, is this really okay? My father asked worriedly. Don't worry, Dad. I patted his shoulder. We'll meet force with force and use earth to stop the water. That night, I called a few college classmates. Although I had taken a leave of absence, the connections with classmates remained. Leo, doesn't your dad work at the police station? I asked. Yeah, what's up? Nothing. Just wanted to get a sense of the security situation, I said. Lately there have been some thugs around here collecting protection money. Protection money? Leo's tone turned serious. That kind of thing has to be reported. Do you have any evidence? Not yet, but I believe we'll have some soon, I said. I'll contact you when that happens. I hung up the phone and began to formulate the next step of my plan. Since the Parker family wanted to play dirty, I would play along to the end. I'd already died once anyway. What was there left to fear? Early the next morning, I began to put my plan into action. First, I installed an overseas surveillance system in the shop. Although the monitoring technology back then wasn't very advanced, it was sufficient to record what happened. Then I started contacting a few friends, asking them to help dig up information on the Parker family. Sure enough, it wasn't 2 days before those thugs showed up again. This time it wasn't the bald man, but a fat man with a face full of flesh. Boss, have you thought it over? The fat man asked as soon as he came in. Still thinking, I pretended to hesitate. But $1,000 is a bit much. Much, the fat man sneered. Do you know how many shops around here are paying us? Oh, who are they? I pretended to ask curiously. The fat guy proudly named a few shops and even detailed how much each was paid. I sneered inwardly. All of this had been recorded by my overseas monitoring system. All right, we'll pay. I finally compromised. But could it be a bit cheaper? At least 800 US dollars, the fat guy said. I'm already cutting you some slack. All right, 800 it is, I nodded. But we don't have that much cash on us right now. Can we pay tomorrow? Fine. Tomorrow at this time, $800, not a cent less, the fat guy threatened, or you'll suffer the consequences. After they left, I immediately copied the video and then contacted my classmate Leo. Leo, I have evidence. I said, is your dad available? I want to report an extortion case. Of course he's available. This kind of thing must be handled seriously. Leo's tone was resolute. That afternoon, I went to the police station and handed the video to the officer. We know these people. The officer who received me said they often operate around this area, but we've never had concrete evidence. It's ready now, I said. They'll come to collect the money tomorrow. You can apprehend them on the spot. Okay, we'll arrange it. The policeman nodded. You operate as usual tomorrow. We'll provide covert protection. The next day, the fat man showed up on time. Is the money ready? He asked as soon as he stepped in. Ready. I took out an envelope. $800, count it. The fat man took the envelope and was about to count the money when several police officers suddenly rushed in. Police! Don't move! The fat man and his accomplices were stunned, still holding the money, unable to run. Officer, this is a misunderstanding. The fat man tried to explain. A misunderstanding? The lead officer sneered. Blackmail and extortion, and you call it a misunderstanding. Soon, several people were handcuffed. Before being taken away, the fat man glared at me viciously. Kid, just you wait. I'm waiting, I replied calmly. After the police left, my father asked worriedly, Ethan, is this really a good idea? I'm afraid they'll retaliate. Dad, don't worry. I comforted him. We're living in a society governed by law now. They won't dare act recklessly. In truth, I knew in my heart this was only the beginning. The Parkers' methods went beyond that. Sure enough, that very night, I received a call from Mr. Parker. Ethan, I've heard about what happened today. Mr. Parker's tone was calm, but I could hear the anger beneath it. Mr. Parker, what happened? I feigned ignorance. Don't pretend. You know what I'm talking about. Mr. Parker's tone turned icy. Young man, know your limits. Mr. Parker, I don't understand what you mean. I kept playing dumb. I'm just cooperating with the police investigation. Cooperating with the police? Mr. Parker sneered. Ethan, do you think catching a few small-time thugs is the end of it? Then what? I retorted. Does Mr. Parker have some other idea? There was a silence on the other end of the line for a moment. Ethan, I'll give you one more chance. Mr. Parker finally said, come to my company tomorrow and we'll have a proper talk. What to talk about? To discuss your family's future. Mr. Parker's tone carried a threat. I hope you're a smart man. All right, I'll go. I agreed. After hanging up, I began to consider a plan. If Mr. Parker asked to meet me, it definitely wasn't for anything good. But I could not go, because it concerned the plans I was about to make. I needed to figure out exactly what the Parker family had in store, and prepare my response in advance. The next morning, I arrived at Mr. Parker's company on time. This is a 10-odd-story office building, and the Parker family's company, Parker Enterprises, occupies 3 of its floors. It does look quite powerful. Mr. Johnson, Mr. Parker is waiting for you in his office. The receptionist politely escorted me upstairs. Mr. Parker's office was very luxurious. Leather sofas, a mahogany desk, and various calligraphy and paintings hung on the walls. Ethan, you're here. Mr. Parker stood up from behind his desk, his face returning to that same false smile. Mr. Parker. I greeted politely. Have a seat. Mr. Parker gestured to the sofa. Would you like something to drink? Just plain water, I said after sitting down. Mr. Parker poured 2 cups of tea, then sat opposite me. Ethan, you didn't handle yesterday's matter very well. He said bluntly. Mr. Parker, I was just defending my legal rights. I replied, legal rights? Mr. Parker laughed. Ethan, do you really think there's absolute fairness in this world? I said nothing, waiting for him to continue. Sometimes rules are made by the strong. Mr. Parker continued. Your family may be honest and upright, but in this society, being merely honest isn't enough. Then what does Mr. Parker think is enough? I asked. Prudence. Mr. Parker's eyes sharpened, knowing what should be done and what should not. I understand. This is a threat against me. Mr. Parker, what do you want me to do? I asked directly. Mr. Parker smiled, then took a document out of the drawer. Very simple, just sign. He pushed the document toward me. I picked it up and immediately gasped. It was a transfer agreement demanding that our family transfer the shop to one of Mr. Parker's subsidiaries. The transfer price was only half the market value. Mr. Parker, what does this mean? I asked, forcing myself to suppress my anger. It's simple. Mr. Parker leaned back in his chair. Your shop is in a good location. We want it. And if we refuse. Mr. Parker's smile turned sinister. Ethan, do you think that after those ruffians were caught yesterday, no one can come after you? I fell silent, waiting for him to continue threatening. Your shop has problems with its fire safety paperwork. Mr. Parker said leisurely, there are also defects in the business license and tax issues. After listing each item, he paused, clearly putting pressure on me. Of course, these issues usually go unchecked, but if someone files a complaint, he didn't finish the sentence, but the meaning was obvious. I finally understood the Parker family's tactics. They not only threatened us with thugs and ruffians, but also used various administrative measures to crack down on us. In my previous life, our family was ruined this way. Inspections came one after another. Each time they could find some problem, impose fines, and order us to suspend operations for rectification, and eventually we couldn't hold on. Mr. Parker, by doing this, aren't you afraid of retribution? I asked. Retribution? Mr. Parker laughed loudly. Ethan, you really are young. In this world, it's survival of the fittest. There's no such thing as retribution. His tone turned icy. If your family can't beat us, then accept your fate. I looked at this sanctimonious middle-aged man before me, and the anger in my heart grew ever stronger. In my past life, it was this beast who ruined my family and caused our downfall. This time, I will never let him succeed. Fine, I'll sign. I picked up the pen. But I have one condition. What condition? Mr. Parker asked, somewhat surprised. Give me 1 week. I need to persuade my parents, I said. After all, this is the work of their whole lives. Mr. Parker thought for a moment and nodded. All right, 1 week. But I must warn you. His tone turned threatening. If you still haven't signed after a week, the consequences will be severe. I understand. I stood up. I'll be off then. Wait. Mr. Parker called after me. There's one more thing. What is it? Sophia's matter. Mr. Parker smiled sinisterly. I heard you broke up. A weight fell on my chest, but I kept calm on the surface. Yes, we broke up. Good. Mr. Parker nodded. Sophia is a good girl. She doesn't deserve someone like you. What do you mean? It doesn't mean anything. Mr. Parker waved his hand. I just think some people should stay in their place and not have unrealistic fantasies. I understand. This is meant to humiliate me. But I can't turn hostile yet. I must endure. Mr. Parker is right. I forced a smile. I really don't deserve her. Good that you understand. Mr. Parker waved his hand. Go now. And remember, 1 week. I stepped out of Mr. Parker's office and took a deep breath. I will repay the humiliation I just suffered tenfold, 100-fold. But for now, I need to calmly make a plan. I have 1 week. There are many things I must accomplish. First, I need to find out the true background of Parker Enterprises. No company can be completely clean. The Parkers are no exception. I spent 3 days gathering a large amount of information about Parker Enterprises through various channels. As expected, I discovered many problems. Tax evasion, embezzlement, related party transactions, all sorts of problems. The most serious was an overseas asset transfer, suspected money laundering. This evidence was enough to ruin the Parker family. But evidence alone wasn't enough. I still needed the right timing and channels. On the 4th day, I went to visit someone. Lawyer Williams, a partner at our town's most famous law firm. In my previous life, I had dealings with him and knew he was an upright man. Ethan, what can I do for you? Lawyer Williams greeted me warmly. Lawyer Williams, I want to consult you about a legal matter. I recounted in detail how the Parker family had been threatening us. After listening, Lawyer Williams' expression turned serious. This behavior already amounts to extortion. I know, but I need stronger evidence, I said, and I have some other discoveries as well. I took out the illegal materials I had collected about Parker Enterprises. Lawyer Williams scrutinized them carefully. The more he looked, the grimmer his expression became. Ethan, where did you get these materials? He asked. Through legal channels, I said. They are all public information. It just takes someone determined to gather them. Lawyer Williams nodded. If these materials are accurate, then the Parker family is in big trouble. Lawyer Williams, I want to retain you as our attorney, I said. No matter how much it costs, I want justice. Money is negotiable. Lawyer Williams waved his hand. The key question is, are you really prepared to go up against the Parkers? We are, I said firmly. Since they are merciless, they can't fault us for being ruthless. Lawyer Williams pondered for a moment. All right, I'll take the case. But I have to warn you. His tone grew serious. The Parker family has a lot of power locally. This won't be an easy fight. I know. I nodded. But someone has to step forward. On the 6th day, I began the final preparations. I organized all the evidence and handed copies to Lawyer Williams, the police station, and a few journalist friends. Meanwhile, I contacted several other merchants who had also been bullied by the Parker family, preparing to join forces to fight back. Everything was ready. Now we just had to wait for tomorrow's showdown. On the 7th day, Mr. Parker's call came right on time. "Ethan, have you thought it over?" His tone was filled with smugness. "Mr. Parker, I'd like to see you in person. Some things are better said face to face," I said. "Fine, my office then, 3 this afternoon." "No, let's change the venue this time," I said. "The cafe at the Golden Sea Hotel. I'd like to talk to you there." Mr. Parker paused for a moment, but agreed. "All right, 3 this afternoon, the Golden Sea Hotel Cafe." After hanging up, I sent Lawyer Williams a message. "Proceed as planned." At 3 in the afternoon, I arrived at the Golden Sea Hotel's cafe on time. Mr. Parker was already there waiting, accompanied by 2 men who looked like bodyguards. "Ethan, have you decided?" Mr. Parker asked me as soon as he saw me. "I've decided," I said after sitting down, "but before I sign, I'd like to talk with Mr. Parker about something else." "What is it?" Mr. Parker asked, somewhat impatiently. "About some of your company's operations." I pulled out a document. "Mr. Parker, do you know what procedures are required to transfer assets overseas?" Mr. Parker's expression changed instantly. "What do you mean?" "It's nothing special," I said calmly. "Just curious." "And this?" I took out another document. "Mr. Parker, wasn't your company's tax filing last year a bit problematic?" Mr. Parker's face darkened completely. "Kid, are you investigating me?" "I'm not investigating you. I'm investigating your company," I corrected. "After all, you're buying our shop, so I need to understand the partner's capabilities." "What do you want?" Mr. Parker asked in a low voice. "What do I want?" I laughed. "Mr. Parker, that question should be for you to ask me. You threatened to take over our shop, sent people to extort and blackmail us, and now you ask what I want." My tone turned cold. "Mr. Parker looked around and saw there were quite a few people in the cafe, so he didn't dare speak loudly. "Ethan, do you think catching me on a little mistake will overturn everything?" he threatened. "A little mistake?" I shook my head. "Mr. Parker, tax evasion of $3 million, illegally transferring $50 million overseas. You call that a little mistake?" Mr. Parker's face turned deathly pale. What are you talking nonsense about?" he stammered. "Was I talking nonsense?" "We'll find out when the tax bureau and the banking regulators arrive." I glanced at my watch. They should be here soon. No sooner had I finished speaking than several people in uniforms walked into the cafe. "Which one of you is Mr. Parker?" The middle-aged man leading them asked. Mr. Parker's face turned even grimmer. I am. We're from the tax bureau. We need your cooperation with an investigation." The middle-aged man showed his identification. Immediately after, several more people walked in. "From the Banking Regulatory Commission as well. Please cooperate, Mr. Parker." Mr. Parker panicked completely. He hadn't expected that I would actually report it. "Mr. Parker, didn't you say this world is all about the survival of the fittest?" I sneered. "It seems there are still laws after all." "Ethan, can we talk?" Mr. Parker tried to salvage the situation. "There's nothing to talk about." I stood up. "Mr. Parker, please cooperate with the investigation. By the way," I added as I was leaving, "the police have filed a case regarding the extortion you ordered. I believe there will be results soon." Mr. Parker slumped in the chair, his complexion ashen. His 2 bodyguards tried to follow, but were stopped by the law enforcement officers. After leaving the hotel, I called my father. "Dad, it's okay now. The Parkers won't bother us anymore." "Really?" Father could barely believe it. "Really?" I said with certainty. "From now on, we can do business in peace." After hanging up, I called Lawyer Williams again. "Lawyer Williams, the first step succeeded. Ethan, you did very well." Lawyer Williams's tone held approval. "But this is only the beginning. There's still a lot of work to do." "I know," I nodded. "The Parker family's business network is complicated. It will need to be cleaned up slowly." Over the next week, the Parker family's affairs caused a huge stir locally. Tax issues, money laundering suspicions, extortion. One charge after another followed. Mr. Parker was formally arrested, and his company was sealed off. Dylan, as one of the company's shareholders, was also implicated. Although the charges were not severe, his future was essentially ruined. Sophia came to see me once, crying and saying she was wrong and wanted to start over. But I refused, not out of spite, but because we really weren't right for each other. The pain from my past life had already taught me that some people are just passing through. You can't force it. Sophia, I wish you happiness, I said to her at last. I hope you can find someone who truly loves you. After the matter with the Parker family was resolved, I devoted all my energy to the business. As I had expected, the free service strategy quickly took effect. More and more customers began choosing our shop, not only because the prices were fair, but also because the service was excellent. Ethan, your idea is really wonderful, my father said happily. This month's revenue has doubled compared to before. This is just the beginning, Dad, I said. We have bigger plans. Besides traditional in-store sales, I also started trying sales on overseas e-commerce platforms. Although the internet environment wasn't mature then, I needed to plan ahead. I registered an overseas website specifically to sell electronic products. The website's design is simple, but it is fully functional. Customers can browse products online, place orders, and then we handle the home delivery. Ethan, do people really use this overseas website? Mom asked, somewhat worried. Mom, trust me, this is the trend of the future, I explained patiently. There may not be many users now, but there will be more and more later. Sure enough, as time went on, online orders began to increase. Although the numbers were still small, the trend was clear. Just as the business was thriving, I received an unexpected phone call. Is this Mr. Ethan Johnson, a stranger? Ms. Davis asked over the phone. Yes, who is this? I'm the HR manager at South Tech, and we'd like to invite you to work at our company. South Tech. I thought about it. It's a newly established overseas internet company specializing in e-commerce. In the coming years, this company will become a leading giant in international e-commerce. Sorry, I don't plan on working right now. I declined politely. Mr. Johnson, please give it some thought. The other party didn't give up. Our compensation is very generous, and there's also equity incentives. Equity incentives? A thought stirred in my mind. The equity in South Tech will be worth a lot of money in the future. But right now I have more important things to do. Thank you for the offer, but I'm really not interested. I declined again. Mr. Johnson, it's like this, the other party continued. Our boss saw your overseas webpage, thinks you have a lot of ideas, and wants to talk to you about a collaboration. Cooperate? This is interesting. What kind of cooperation? I asked. The specific details need to be discussed in person. If it's convenient, you can come to our company. I thought it over and decided to go take a look. After all, it's good to get a sense of the market dynamics. The next day, I went to South Tech's office. The company was small, only about 20 people, but everyone was young and full of energy. Mr. Johnson, I'm Mr. Zhang, the founder of South Tech. A man of about 30 greeted me warmly. Mr. Zhang, hello. I greeted politely. Mr. Johnson, I looked at your overseas website. It's very well done, Mr. Zhang said bluntly. I'd like to discuss a cooperation project with you. What project? We would like to invite you to join our platform, Mr. Zhang explained. You can set up a store on our overseas website, and we provide technical support and promotion services. Isn't this exactly the later e-commerce platform model? I was secretly pleased, but kept my calm on the surface. How exactly would the collaboration work? It's simple. You upload the product information to our platform, and after a customer places an order, you handle the shipping. Mr. Zhang said, we take a certain commission. How much is the commission? 5%. That rate is still reasonable. Mr. Zhang, how many users does your platform have now? I asked. Not many at the moment, about 10,000. Mr. Zhang said somewhat embarrassed. But we believe that as overseas internet services become more widespread, the number of users will grow. 10,000 users was already not a small number at that time. All right, I can give it a try. I agreed. That's great, Mr. Zhang said happily, shaking my hand. Mr. Johnson, I believe our cooperation will be very pleasant. After signing the cooperation agreement, I began setting up a store on South Tech's platform. although orders were few at first. I could feel that this was a huge opportunity. When I got home, I told my parents the news. Ethan, is this really okay? Mother was a little worried. Is it safe to put our products on someone else's overseas website? Mom, this is called a win-win collaboration. I explained, we provide the products, they provide the platform, and everyone benefits. Besides, this way our reach will be broader and we can connect with more customers. Father nodded. Ethan makes a good point. We really should embrace new things now. And so, our family business began a new development model. A physical storefront combined with online sales, a two-pronged approach. Revenue steadily increased, and our lives kept getting better. But I knew that still wasn't enough. I had even bigger plans. 3 months later, our online sales had already surpassed the physical store. This result surprised my parents. Ethan, how did you know online sales would do so well? My father asked curiously. Instinct, I said with a smile. I think this is the trend of the future. It is indeed the trend of the future, and it is arriving faster than most people imagine. At that moment, Mr. Jean called me. Mr. Johnson, I have good news for you. His tone was excited. What good news? Our company is going to do a Series A financing round with an amount of $20 million, Mr. Jean said. I would like to invite you to participate in the investment. A $20 million Series A round was a very large sum at the time. Mr. Jean, I'm just a small merchant. Where would I get the money to invest? I said with a bitter smile. Mr. Johnson, don't be modest. Mr. Jean said earnestly. Your performance on our platform has been excellent, and your understanding of e-commerce is very profound. We hope you'll be not only our merchant, but also our partner. Partners? That's an interesting proposal. Mr. Jean, how much do you need me to invest? I asked. Not much. $500,000 will do, Mr. Jean said. At the current valuation, you can get 2% equity. 2% of the shares? I remember when South Tech later went public, its market value exceeded $100 billion. 2%, that's $2 billion. Using $500,000 to exchange for $2 billion, that deal was too good. But the problem is, where am I supposed to get $500,000 now? Mr. Jean, let me think about it for a few days, I said. All right, but act fast. There are many investors and slots are limited, Mr. Jean reminded me. After hanging up, I began thinking of ways to raise the money. Our family shop does quite well, but our savings are only about $200,000. Where would the remaining $300,000 come from? I thought away. The house. Our family owns an old house. Although the location isn't great, it's still worth around $400,000 to $500,000. If we put the house up as collateral for a mortgage, we should be able to raise about $300,000. But doing that carries a lot of risk. If the investment fails, our family would truly be ruined. Ethan, what are you thinking about? Mother walked over carrying fruit. Mom, I want to discuss something with you. I gathered my words. What is it? There's an investment opportunity, but it requires $500,000. I said, $500,000? Mother was startled. How could we possibly have so much money? We can get a loan, I said. Use the house as collateral. What? Dad also came over. Ethan, are you crazy? The house is our foundation. I knew the proposal was bold, but I had to convince them. Dad, Mom, do you trust me? I asked them earnestly. Of course I believe you, Mother said without hesitation. Then believe me one more time. I held their hands. I guarantee this investment will succeed. But what if it fails? Father asked worriedly. It won't fail, I said firmly. And even if it does, at worst we start over. We're still young. We have time. My parents exchanged a glance, and in the end they nodded. All right, we trust you, my father said. But you must promise. There can be no mistakes. I promise, I pledged solemnly. The next day, I began the procedures to apply for a mortgage loan on a house. A week later, $500,000 arrived in the account. I immediately called Mr. Jean. Mr. Jean, I've decided to invest. Wonderful. Mr. Jean was so excited he nearly jumped for joy. Mr. Johnson, you will absolutely not regret this decision. I certainly wouldn't regret it. This was the best decision I had made since being reborn. After the investment procedures were completed, I officially became one of South Tech's shareholders. Although it was only 2% of the equity, it was already enough. In the following months, South Tech grew very rapidly. The number of users rose from 10,000 to 100,000, and transaction volume multiplied several times. Our family's online sales also rose accordingly, with new breakthroughs every month. "Ethan, you're amazing," Father said sincerely. "Our family's income is now several times what it used to be." "This is just the beginning," I said confidently. "Dad, in a few years we'll be millionaires." "Millionaires?" Mother widened her eyes. "Really? Of course it's real." I nodded. "And not just millions, maybe tens of millions." My parents were both stunned by my words. They never expected their son to have such ambition and ability. Just when I was riding high, an unexpected piece of news arrived. Sophia is getting married. Hearing that Sophia was getting married, I felt very conflicted. Saying I don't care would be a lie. After all, we once loved each other. But I won't try to win her back either, because it's already over between us. "Ethan, did you know Sophia is getting married?" My mother asked tentatively. "I know," I replied calmly. "Then you..." Mother hesitated. "Mom, I'm fine," I said with a smile. "It's been so long since we broke up. I've long moved on." "That's good." Mother breathed a sigh of relief. "Actually, your mother thinks breaking up back then was the right thing." "Why do you say that?" "That girl may be pretty, but she's not very kind-hearted," my mother said bluntly. "And besides, she isn't worthy of the you are now." "Indeed, she isn't worthy. I'm no longer that foolish kid I used to be. I have my own career, my own goals, my own life plan, and Sophia was still the same Sophia." "Ethan, when are you going to find a girlfriend?" My mother changed the subject. "Mom, I'm focusing on my career right now. I don't plan on that for the time being," I said. "But you're already 20. You can't stay single forever," my mother said, worryingly. "It's okay. We'll talk about it once your career is stable." Actually, I also knew in my heart that matters of the heart couldn't be put off forever. But right now I really haven't met the right person. The pain from my past life made me more cautious. I don't want to casually start another relationship. Just then my phone rang. It was Mr. Jean calling. "Mr. Johnson, I have some major news to tell you." His tone was very excited. "What news?" "Our Series B financing went through," Mr. Zhang said excitedly. "This time the valuation is $1 billion US. $1 billion US? I was secretly delighted. This meant the 2% stake in my hands was now worth $20 million US. In just half a year, $500,000 had turned into $20 million. A 40-fold return. "Congratulations, Mr. Zhang," I said. "South Tech has really grown fast." "All thanks to your support," Mr. Zhang said modestly. "You are not only our investor, but also our strategist." Indeed, over the past 6 months, I have often given South Tech some suggestions. These suggestions seem ordinary, but they often play a crucial role. For example, optimizing user experience, building the logistics system, and arranging the mobile layout. To others, these may be just ordinary business instincts. But in fact, all of this was summarized from my experiences in my previous life. "Mr. Zhang, what are the plans next?" I asked. "Preparing to expand," Mr. Zhang said. "We want to open branches nationwide and try to go public within 3 years." Go public within 3 years? I remember South Tech did go public 5 years after its founding. It seems the timeline matches my memory. "Do you need me to do anything?" I asked. "Not for now. Just focus on running your business," Mr. Zhang said. "But there is one thing I'd like to discuss with you." "What is it?" "We want to establish a regional headquarters in your city. Would you be interested in getting involved?" "Regional headquarters? This is a great opportunity. If I can take part in South Tech's regional operations, I can not only earn more, but also gain valuable management experience." "Of course I'm interested." I agreed without hesitation. "Great, Mr. Zhang said happily. "Then we'll talk in detail another day." After hanging up, I began to think about this new opportunity. South Tech's regional headquarters, which meant I would be transitioning from small merchant to a manager. This was a brand new challenge for me, but I believe I can handle it. After all, I have the experience from my previous life as a reference. Ethan, whose call was that just now? Father asked curiously. Mr. Zhang from South Tech, I said. He invited me to take part in the construction of their regional headquarters. Regional headquarters? Father didn't quite understand. What's that? In simple terms, they're going to open a branch here and want me to help manage it, I explained. What about our shop? Mother asked worriedly. The shop will stay open as usual, I said. I can handle both. Actually, I already had a plan in mind. Once South Tech's regional headquarters officially starts operating, I'll hand over the daily management of the shop to my parents and focus on developing the new business myself. This way I can both secure the existing income and expand into new areas. Ethan, do you really think this is a good idea? My father asked with some concern. Won't it be too tiring? Dad, this is a rare opportunity. We can't miss it, I said firmly. Besides, for our family, it's an even bigger chance. What opportunity? If South Tech really goes public, the shares we hold will be worth something, I explained. By then, we'll truly be rich. My parents exchanged a look, both of them a little incredulous. They never expected their son to have such ambition and capability. All right, we support you, my father finally said. But you have to promise us that whatever you do, safety comes first. I promise. I nodded. And so, my life reached another turning point. From a college student to a small business owner, then to an investor and manager, I moved step by step toward my goal. The suffering of my past life is over. In this life, I'm going to live out a different kind of brilliance. Looking at the sunset outside the window, my heart is filled with hope. No matter what challenges lie ahead, I have the confidence to face them. Because I know that as long as I persist, success is not far ahead.